because I can see the criteria of selection of personnel to attend various issues. So did you see these other documentations apart from the policy that was subsequently approved later?
Through the chair, the policy document will highlight the nature of training, if one needs to be trained, the establishment, and how many has been trained are all documented in the policy. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we have agreed we keep that in view. What is the next matter that, in your assessment, the county has addressed?
The next matter was on misclassification of expenditure, and under this we had a total of 3 issues pertaining to misclassification. The first one was on misclassification of foreign travel and subsistence, whereby 22 million was incurred on foreign travel, which was noted under Note 4 to the financial statement. However, an amount of 5.8 in relation to domestic travel and subsistence was wrongly classified as foreign travel.
So how would this be resolved? Because this sounds like some of those practices that are outlawed in the PFM Act.
Chair, when you look at page 148, Annex 4.3, the department, through your recommendations that the officers involved an action should be taken, the county did a remedy by giving us an internal memo advising all the accounting officers to adhere to the misclassifications which they have tabled, and from our assessment we considered it to check it in our subsequent, whereby if we are going to have any misclassification, I think we are going to flag it and we'll bring it forward from the previous issue, Chair. But we seek your guidance, Chair.
Now, Governor, we need to speak to this annexure that you have brought to the Senate to confirm whether it addresses what the Senate required. That is page 148.
Chair.
Governor, these are your documents, so Auditor General, you are referring to volume 1, page.
Sorry? Volume 1, Annex 4.1, page 147.
Yeah, Governor, we need to reflect on that internal memo. Page 148, where there's an internal memo. Go to...
Are we referring to the same volumes?
Yeah,
volume 1. Are you in volume 1?
Yeah, you're on 147.
147.
Go to 148. Yeah. I think on page 148, we've got an internal memo. Honorable members, are we there? The committee made recommendation that the responsible accounting officers, I think Clerk of the Senate, you need to tell us what was our recommendation on the part of accounting officers. Yes, Kibet.
Chair. Chair, our recommendation was that the Office of the County Governor undertakes administrative action against the accounting officer and any other officers responsible for failure to undertake accurate reconciliation of financial statements within the stipulated timelines and submit a report to the committee within 60 days of adoption of the report.
Okay, so let's look at this internal memo. Governor, who is that internal memo addressed to?
It's addressed to all the accountants.
Were all the accountants involved in misclassification of expenditure? Because there are three very specific observations where responsibility could clearly be assigned.
True. However, I believe the memo was so as to put on notice all the accountants that this is not acceptable, and going forward, like, nobody should misclassify the expenditure.
In our recommendation, we talked of the accounting officer responsible for failure to undertake accurate reconciliation, responsible for failure to provide documents. Because if you send a memo to all accountants, and yet this misclassification of expenditure on domestic and foreign travel was done by a specific accounting officer, administrative action ought to be specific. It cannot be global.
I think we are not on the same page, Chair. If you read the last two paragraphs of the memo, this internal memo was not taking administrative action. This internal memo was to sort of show all the accountants, some officers have misclassified this as this. And you see how it says this office takes this as a serious breach of the public finance, and any future miscalculation of expenditure items will not be treated, that sort of stuff. So this memo was not just to the 3 or 2 or 1 officer who had done this misclassification. It was all to the accountants in the executive, telling them to be more thorough or to be more aware in their work so that we do not have such an issue in the future.
That is okay. So where is the memo that specifies administrative action on the accounting officer who misclassified 15.9 million as repairs and maintenance, and yet it was not repairs and maintenance?
I don't believe we have a memo specific to that specific officer, is there?
Because that was a recommendation of the Senate. You see, Governor, last week we are dealing with an impeachment proceeding, and the governor is being accused of things which, for those of us who have sat in these committees, we know that responsibility should be assigned to individual officers. And that is why this committee will want to take head-on accounting officers who commit violations of the law. That's what we are looking for. Have you addressed that? Because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, then someone will say that the governor takes ultimate responsibility. And yet there are either 3 or 1 accountant who did this.
Chair, I think, or rather I believe, for purposes of this memo, it was more as a notice. Now everybody's been put on notice. Everybody has been warned. This has been brought to their attention. And whoever now does this subsequent to this, then action will be taken. So that's what the intention of this was.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But is misclassification, if you are to classify 15.9 million as repairs and maintenance, and yet it is not repairs and maintenance, Auditor General, is that an offense under the PFM Act and regulations?
Yes, Chair, that's an offense.
So we needed you to take action on the offender, not notice to the world. Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Chair. I see this memo dated the 13th of June. Dan is Dan here. Dan is here. Dan is here. So Dan, this is a good letter. It's a good memo. But I think what the chair is trying to communicate, Governor, is that this is the second letter that should have come from you. Yeah, this is the second letter. The first letter would have been to the offending accounting officers who misclassified expenditure. And you see, we have said in this committee before, and I will repeat it, administrative action is not necessarily firing or transferring, or, I mean, administrative action could also mean retraining. Maybe an accounting officer who does not know the difference between a chair and an air ticket. I mean, how do you misclassify travel and purchase of furniture? So maybe they will need some training. And what we are saying, Governor, is you got an opportunity from the committee to properly assign responsibility, because there is a case here for a breach, properly assign responsibility and take corrective action. Now, the letter that by Odudo is a good one, but it's a second letter, telling people, in fact, you should have referenced the first one, that on account of this breach, we have taken this action, and be warned, you shouldn't do certain things. Chair, I think with your guidance, because we'll be leaving in the next 1 hour or so, you can just push this faster so we see how much ground we can cover.
My observation, and I strongly associate myself with the comments of Senator Wambua. I can see he's becoming wiser as he continues to become the governor of Kitui. Chair, maybe 2 quick observations. Governor, maybe just for clarification, when you received the recommendation from the Senate, was there any office that was marked for the action? Maybe is there a county secretary, or the county secretary was marked for action to be taken? And finally, through the chair, the OAG, I know you have just concluded in the review of the subsequent financial year. Did you can give us the by eyes view if you did notice the recurrence of this misclassification? So thank you to the governor and the OAG through the chair. I yield.
OAG?
Through the chair, it's when we are doing our entries for the counties. For Nakuru, we have not, but we promise that that's what we are going to check on. And in case of any misclassification, we are going to raise the issue. And in our subsequent discussion, I think the same will come up. Thank you, Chair.
But OAG could have also helped us by telling us that, for example, under purchase of office furniture and general equipment, if 25 million was reported there, was misclassified there, what was this 25 million used for?
Thank you, Chair. What we are querying here, the expenditure was acquisition of asset was 2.8 in note 9. Included in the amount was 38 million relating to the purchase of office furniture and general equipment. However, the amount included in the balance of 25, which was in respect of items that were misclassified. So in this case, it may be, because we don't have the details may be are in our management letter. These are more related to repairs.
So maybe since Governor, your officers also agree with the observation of the Auditor General, and that's why they issued this warning. So, for example, this 25 million, which was misclassified under office furniture, where should it have been classified?
I'll have the CC.
Yeah, please proceed. What ought to be the account on which it was charged, or what was it? What is this 25 million that you put under office furniture, which should not have been under office furniture?
Chair, I think it was an error during preparation of the financial statement, and that's why...
It can't be an error because it's an expenditure. You spent the money on something. So what is it that you spent on, and then you lumped up in that account? Because we need to know, was it on tea? Was it on insurance? Was it on shere? Or there was nothing, so 25 million was posted there to balance numbers. You see, Auditor, that's what you need to help us understand. Was that 25 million posted there to balance the accounts, or that 25 million was spent on something that went to the county?
Okay, Chair. Thank you, Chair. The 25 million, as we have queried, it was among the 38 that was reported. However, all these details we normally give in our management letter, and because it's not specified as outside the purchase of furniture, I believe it's normally related to repairs, and repair is maintenance. So the account for acquisition of asset is different from the continuous expenses operations.
National Treasury.
Thank you, Chair. Treasury take notice that there is the aspect of incompetence on the part of the officers who are handling these documents, in that somebody is not able to actually know the right item to charge. And the budget is itemized. There is a reason why it is itemized and even approved when it is itemized. And I also take notice that we've already discussed about training cost of 93 million. So maybe the county could be training or the wrong personnel, or maybe this personnel who are handling these finances requires more training so that they can be able to know the relevant item to charge.
Senator Adulo.
Chair, I just wanted to know whether there was a loss of funds. Number two, whether the officer who did the misclassification is still within the same department.
Governor.
Chair, and by the way, Chair, let me just point out, when I woke up this morning, I think I had pinched my nerve on my neck. I just want to put that out there. And so that's why I'm having a problem turning around like that in case I'm
Yeah, so you're turning like a truck.
You can see that. I could see in your eyes, you're looking at me a bit funny. But so let me have Dan answer this question kindly.
Yeah, Dan, as you answer the question, tell us that there was an actual expenditure. Okay. Which then was misclassified to purchase of furniture. What was that expense on? That's what we want to know.
Thank you, Chair. Now, if you look at purchase of furniture, is actual acquisition, but there are repairs on this foreign. At times when you are going on foreign, part of the foreign travel is domestic, because when you leave Nakuru to come to Nairobi to the airport, you are still on domestic.
Wait a minute. So you have already accepted that it was a misclassification.
Yes.
So your explanation is moot.
Yes.
So is that lawful?
It's not lawful to misclassify.
Yes. So if it is not lawful, is it possible to identify the officer who did the misclassification?
Yes, it is.
And has administrative action in form of a warning, reprimand, training been taken on that officer?
Yes, on receipt of the Senate recommendation, we forwarded the documents to the relevant department. That's the...
What we have here is a letter addressed to all accountants.
Yes.
I don't think all accountants are incompetent in Nakuru. What we needed you to deal with are the ones who made the 3 posting errors.
Yes.
Why do you want to portray all your accountants as incompetent? I don't think a county with a city would be in that situation. So I think the long and short of it is this. Accountability cannot be global. It must be individual.
Because I asked, let me just maybe ask that question again. That 25,771,536 was misclassified and put under purchase of furniture and general equipment.
Yes.
It was misclassified.
Yes.
Now I'm asking, this money was not used to purchase furniture.
Yes.
What was it used for?
It was used on repairs and maintenance.
And do we have the documents here to show that it was used for purchase of, for repairs?
For now, we did not carry those details, but I promised to give the committee the
My gut
details.
instinct is telling me this money was just used for balancing.
Yeah, because that's the impression one gets. Senator Wambua.
Chair, you know, there is a big problem when people try to talk too much when they're answering a simple question. Odudo, that's your name, right?
Yes.
Was taking a very dangerous path, Chair, until you stopped him. Trying to explain the difference between domestic travel and foreign travel. And I was trying to tell you that for foreign travel, there is always a component of domestic travel. That if you are coming from Nakuru going to London, then the domestic part is from Nakuru to JKIA. Then from there, it becomes, after the runway, then it is foreign. You see, when we say there is need for training, Chair, this is exactly what we are talking about. Because if that is a confusion then that we have, you will find a lot of those things that you're dealing with. You're buying furniture, you're spending money on furniture, spending money on repairing the furniture, but you say, because this money is being spent on furniture that had already been bought, it is also part of acquisition of furniture. It's a serious problem, Chair. And the decision as to whether money was lost or not cannot be auditors to tell us. It is the auditors who tell us whether money was lost, because they're not carrying out an audit here.
I agree. Auditor, you want to make a comment before I ask the governor to comment, then we give directions?
No, Chair.
You have heard the last challenge from Senator Wambua, that if whether money was lost or not cannot come from the client, it needs to come from you.
Yes, Chair, I can make a comment on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, from our appendix, I believe it was repairs they have stated. And this one can only be corrected by doing a journal, which they ought to have provided us with a journal entry to correct the financial statement, which, from our view, we felt that we'll look at it as we do the final accounts, as we do our audit. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, before, sorry, Senator Chirage, you wanted to make a comment? Or
No, I think the OAG has just answered.
Your final comment before we give the way forward on this?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I have gotten what exactly it is that you would have wanted to see. And part of what we shall do when we get back there is more, maybe even retraining of these accountants. Thank you.
This matter, even though the OAG has marked it as resolved, we shall keep it in view. We'll advise the OAG to keep it in view. We have seen some effort around administrative action. It is not sufficient. It needs to be specific. It needs to be directed to the accounting officers or the accountants who caused the problem, so that we don't scandalize all the accountants. Secondly, the journal entries ought to be demonstrated, and OAG will be checking on that. And finally, you know, it's easy to say the governor is a CEO, so she knows everything. But I think we have sat here long enough to know that there are certain issues that we must put squarely in the hands of the officers, because the PFM Act and regulations give them that responsibility. So, Mr. Odundo, from your demeanor, you don't look like a man who needs further training. Just apply your knowledge to ensure that the right thing is done. And when I look at the signatories to these financial statements, I can see that they were signed by a Mr. Joseph Malinda, who is a CPSK, who is a member of the Law Society of Kenya, and a Mr. Wilson Mungai, who is a member of ISPAC. So if people with such sterling credentials cannot render proper financial statements, then I think we are having a problem, because this then goes beyond training. In fact, that will then point to the suspicion about that 45.8 million being a balancing act, but OAG keep it in view. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7.
Yes, Chair.
What are the other?
The other, we move to lawfulness under paragraph number 25 on failure to establish departmental training committees. Management did not establish departmental training committees, which may have negatively impacted on the efficient management of training functions for the county executive. This was contrary to paragraph 1.2 of the County Public Service Human Resource Manual 2013 that requires the county to establish departmental training committees to manage the functions.
So that's also another HR-related issue.
Yes, and they provided quite a number of them in Appendix.
Honorable members, because that's a policy issue, we might not need to go into a lot of details, but I believe that of our list of shame on wage bill, Governor, I think your wage bill is around 40% of total revenues. Where is it at? My numbers here indicate something around 40%.
Yeah, about there.
Which is above the 35% threshold. There was a special audit done by the OAG on human resource across the counties, and those reports have been tabled before the House. And if you're at 40%, you'll be one of those counties that will be calling to go through that report, so that we have a much deeper conversation on that. Because you can see the first two issues we dealt with were on training, training policy, and now we are talking of departmental, the departmental what?
Training committees.
Yeah, so there seems to be quite a number of issues around HR, but I'm happy that there seems to be corrective action being undertaken in that space. So we can mark that as resolved, but we'll have to discuss your report on HR in Nakuru at a different meeting. The last resolved matter?
Sorry, the last one is on number 4 on internal controls on non-compliance with climate change regulations, which they have provided quite a number of reports on the same.
The last one was on?
The last one controls. Is on internal controls, number 4, on non-compliance with the climate change regulations, which they have provided way forward.
Okay, climate change regulations. This is all to do with FLOCA and the Climate Change Fund, Climate Change Act. This has now been done. From your assessment, it has been done?
It's been done and they have provided. I was just looking for their next, they are quite a lot.
Okay. So those are the only 7 issues that in your assessment have been resolved?
Yes, Chair, and one is partially resolved on pending bills.
On pending bills?
Yes.
Pending bills is a matter that would be kept in view. In fact, I think now that you are doing the audit, it would make more sense if you did a much more rigorous assessment on it. Even though if time allows, we might go into it and find out how you have taken action in line with our recommendations.
Thank you, Chair. Noted.
So those are the 7 which we have either ticked off or we have kept in view.
Yes, Chair.
So we are remaining with 38.
No, we had 45. 7 addressed from our view and 1 partially.
Well, so if it's partial, it's not addressed. So we are still remaining with 38 issues.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
But before you leave internal controls, there's a recommendation that we made, which if the governor has not implemented it, then we'll think that she's not taking the recommendations of the Senate seriously. The establishment of an audit committee. How, Governor, from your response, there is no evidence that you have established an audit committee. How would Nakuru, such a big county with a city, not have an audit committee? What is the difficulty in establishing an audit committee? Because without an audit committee, then internal control, internal audit is completely useless. An auditor or treasury, you will need to explain to us the importance of an audit committee in that context, because they don't have it, unless there's evidence that that has been established. Governor?
Thank you, Chair. We actually advertised for it last year, but when many of those who applied were not qualified. So we didn't have enough to constitute the committee. But we are back on the drawing board again, right? Oh, we already re-advertised again, actually. Yeah.
Is that part of your submissions on file? Because it was a substantive issue, so that we can see how you responded. Because it's not a casual thing, Governor. It's if you advertised last year and to date there's no audit committee, that is a serious violation of the PFM Act and regulations. Reverend, what is the importance of an audit committee so that we are not dealing with irrelevant things?
Honorable Chair and members, basically the importance of the audit committee is to offer assurance to the management that the internal processes they are serving the purposes for which they were intended.
Can you have an effective internal audit function without an audit committee?
No. It's supposed to actually appraise the internal processes, those audit committees, and their reports should give assurance to the management that all is well. Now, in the absence of the audit committees, you know that assurance is lacking.
OG?
Thank you, Chair. The audit committee is very, very key to the internal controls implementation, where they will both implement external audit reports, recommendations, the Senate recommendation, and even the internal audit functions. So it's a very key committee that will oversee, because it's independent from the management, and they will ensure that all these are implemented. Thank you, Chair.
Now, legal, just look up that section 54 of the Public Audit Act. So that, because we are now in implementation, we are not on audit. We said you need to establish an audit committee. You have not established an audit committee. There's somebody in the organization who has that responsibility. According to the Act, is it the CEC, Finance?
Maybe we can refer to the act, the actual act, Chair.
Governor, in your view, who takes responsibility for establishment of an audit committee? Obviously, you are the CEO, but functionally, who takes that responsibility?
I believe it would be the CEC for Finance.
CEC Finance? Is the responsibility?
Yes, Chair.
Actually, sorry, Chair. I'm thinking they would have to be reporting to the governor.
Yes.
Not the CEC.
But yes, Governor CEO, but there's some legwork that needs to be done in terms of costing the advertisements, etc., making the request to the County Public Service Board to make the advertisements. Who takes that original responsibility?
That would be the CEC.
CEC Finance, is that your duty?
Yes, Chair. And as Her Excellency has explained, last year we advertised. The applications came in, but what came from the board is that majority of them did not have the requisite qualification and experience. And in July on 19th, we advertised. It went on the paper, and I'm here to confirm with the board where they are at as of now.
You have the advert here?
Yeah, yes, it should be.
The one that you're citing?
Yes. Page 558.
Of which volume?
Second one. Volume 2.
So Nakuru, such a big county, cannot attract people to sit in the audit committee, and yet we have seen, did Isiolo, I think even Isiolo demonstrated that they have been able to constitute an audit committee. Not saying that Isiolo is small. Yeah, so if Isiolo can attract qualified people to the audit committee, I have a lot of problems believing what the CEC is saying. unless we get a report from the County Public Service Board.
Which volume?
Volume 2, page 558.
I was waiting for the comeback of Senator Dulo.
You know, you'd
And
rather
you know-
paper compliance than no compliance at all.
Yeah, and you know the alternative capital city of Nairobi is Nakuru.
And the future capital is Isiolo, as per Vision 2030.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When things are right in Isiolo.
So, members, have you seen the adverts?
Yes, Chair. It's dated 18th July
Of this year?
of this year. 18th of July. When
Sorry.
did you receive our report?
Sorry, Chair, it's on volume 2, page 558.
Yes, you've seen the advert sent on 18th July. When did you receive the report of our recommendations? Because I think, Chair, it was tabled on 27th of March.
Yes, you may respond.
Yes, we received the recommendation in June of this year.
Okay, since we are now...
So, Chair,
complete.
Actually, 18th of July was supposed to be the date, the final date for receipt of the applications. So from July 18th, have you made any step? Have you interviewed? Because the whole of August, no action, you know, from 18th to 30th of July, 31st, nothing, August, nothing. Are you really serious? We want to form this audit committee, Governor? Are you comfortable operating without an audit committee?
Through the chair, we do have a little situation there when it comes to the board, because their term ended on the 31st of July.
Which board?
My county public service board. So as much as it was closing on the 18th, the board has had no quorum. But the process of recruitment for the new one has been done, and I believe the names are now in the county assembly. So once we have a reconstituted, or once we have quorum in the board, then I'm sure whatever was on their desks and pending will be completed. So the delay may have been caught up due to the lapse in the time for the board.
Senator Lelegwe.
Chair, I don't think the governor is honest on this issue and the CC, because when you see that advert, it's titled the county government of Nakuru, and all those applications was supposed to be received by the county secretary and head of public service, not the county public service board. Just check on that advert. The details are there.
Chair, I don't know how to respond to that. So when the senator says we are not being honest, I would wish to point out to the senator that the county secretary does not interview job applicants. It's actually handled by the county public service board at the county level.
Well, I think he's making a statement of fact.
I'm just, I'm saying, I'm giving feedback on their submission that they don't have a board, or the board have advertised. When you see this, it's not advertised by the board, and the person to receive these applications, as indicated in the advert, is the county secretary, head of public service, county government of Nakuru. So I don't know from this advert where the service board comes from.
Now, Governor, if we say too much, we are going to end up contradicting each other. I agree with the senator's assessment on the basis of what we are seeing here, because applications were to be sent to the county secretary and head of public service. If it was to go to CPSB, perhaps it would have been addressed as such. But the key thing is this: you don't have an audit committee. Do you have an approved internal audit charter? OAG, what's the name of that charter that needs to be approved?
That's called the internal audit.
Charter.
Yes.
Do you have an approved internal audit charter? There, who is the foremost professional? Because CEC Finance does not have to be an accountant. Or are you a member of the institute? Chief Officer, Finance. What's the professional membership for Chief Officer Finance? Is Chief Officer Finance present?
Yeah.
But if Chief Officer Finance is not present, what is the professional background of Chief Officer Finance? See, you have a Chief Officer Finance. See, why are you smiling instead of answering a question that is as black and white?
But I have a CPA, my CEO, economic planning.
No.
Yes.
This thing of audit committee is so important. ISPAC has made it clear that where a county does not have an audit committee, I think they've even done some opinion on the matter, that Senate has the power to report to ISPAC for necessary professional sanctions to be taken on members of their profession who have that responsibility and fail to advise the governor or fail to implement it. And that's what I'm driving at. So if it's not the CEC, then there will be a CEO. And if there is no CEO, and again, the law does not require CEO to be a member of ISPAC, but head of accounting services or head of treasury must be a member of the institute, isn't it? So who's the head of treasury or head of accounting services in this delegation?
Director Dam.
The guy I thought did not require further training. Mr. Dundo, why are you operating? Because that means you are the foremost accountant in the entity. A member of ISPAC, I believe so?
Not yet, sir.
How are you head of accounting services and you're not a member of ISPAC? Supervising CPAs? Governor, how does that, because those are not, those are positions of merit. They are not like the CEC and CEO positions.
We actually had one director. And Chair, I think there's something that I need to go back a bit. I know you said let's not talk too much about that, but it's important for the record. On that advert, when it says to the county secretary and head of public service, it's just an office that where there is a, what is it called?
No, Governor, let me guide you. It's
By
not.
all applications
It's not an issue. So,
Okay.
Senator Delego has stated it.
Okay.
Don't go back to it.
Okay.
We want to find a solution.
Yes.
And I want to make a recommendation to ISPAC
Sure.
to hold one of your professionals accountable.
That's fine.
And that's what I'm trying to identify.
Okay, I just took offense, not offense, but I just was taken aback when it was put on the record that
No,
you're lying.
leave that
so I was
alone.
just correcting that. As far as the one who was, what was his name? Director Finance was Mongai, who just recently retired. He is the one who had that designation. We are currently recruiting for that position, for the director.
So to put it in context, Nakuru County does not have a county public service board,
Yeah.
does not have an audit committee, does not have a chief officer finance, does not have a qualified head accounting services. 4 very critical institutions in the county. How do you expect to achieve your goals, Governor, in the absence of those very critical structures?
Chair, I think it's just it's unfortunate that a lot of it lapsed at the same time, especially, for example, the County Public Service Board, the term ending, and that of the director retiring. So the succession planning there may have been I mean, there was not much we could do about the County Public Service Board, for example. We still had to go through the processes in recruitment. We did put together the committee that was to recruit. They came on board. They did the recruitment. We couldn't rush them. I think it's taken the last couple of months to do that. But the names are now at the County Assembly. So here shortly within, and then our County Assembly happens to be on recess, because I believe they may have your calendar. But they're coming back, I believe, for a special sitting just to pass the county public, to have a sitting on the County Public Service Board. So that will be soon taken care of. As you can see, there was an advertisement for the Audit Committee, and the people tasked with recruitment in county government is the County Public Service Board. So as soon as they are there, they are in place, this will be one of the first things they do.
Governor, I wouldn't even want you to explain.
Okay.
We just want to paint the picture for you, so that you see the kind of problem that you have.
Sure.
I hope you have an internal auditor,
We do, don't we?
but without a charter.
Of course, the internal auditor is here with us. We do have a charter, but he has told me that it was not approved. But
Yeah, because it's approved by the audit committee.
Exactly.
The picture we are painting for you is, if you don't have an audit committee, a public service board, a chief officer finance, a qualified head of accounting services, an approved internal audit charter, then your financial management is going to be in shambles. And it is something that you must go back and deal with urgency. I don't want to hard press you to explain to us what you're doing, but go back and reflect on that. That is a recipe for failure if you don't have those institutions.
Sure.
So do we keep this in view, hoping that by the time you are doing the audit, there'll be some demonstrable measures?
Yes, Chair. We'll keep it in view.
Okay. PBO, is PBO here? I think in our ranking of counties, establishment of audit committees, having approved internal audit charters, having qualified persons running the financial management of the counties can also be added as parameters on the ranking that we are planning to do for counties. Can we then go back now to the issues unresolved? We have dealt with 7.5 issues, actually 8.5. Now let's go back to the issues that remain unresolved. Even though I'd asked legal to read, was it section 54 of the Public Audit Act, that section that gives Parliament the power to make recommendations where an accounting officer fails to do what Parliament has directed. Malcolm?
Through the chair, section 53, subsection 1, the relevant accounting officer of a state organ or public entity shall, within 3 months after Parliament has considered and made recommendations on the audit report, A, take the relevant steps to implement the recommendations of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General, or B, give explanations in writing to the Parliament on why the report has not been acted upon. Subsection 2, failure to comply with the provisions of subsection 1, the accounting officer shall be in contempt of Parliament or County Assembly, and upon determination by Parliament or relevant County Assembly, Parliament or the relevant County Assembly may recommend administrative sanctions such as removal as the accounting officer, reduction in rank, among others.
So, honourable members, that's what we'll apply our minds to, whether we should make that recommendation. And that's why I keep asking for the officer responsible, because we cannot talk of reduction in rank of the governor. The governor is elected by the people, but there are officers who are, public officers to whom that section would apply. Oeji, take us back to the beginning of the issues that remain unresolved.
Thank you, Chair. The first issue is not addressed. It's under financials. Undisclosed decrease in retention money. The statement of cash flow reflected a nil balance in respect of increase and decrease in deposits and retentions. However, note 18 to the financial statement reflects a decrease in deposit and retention amount of 104 million, resulting to a variance of 104.9 million, not disclosed in the financial statement.
What was the recommendation of the Senate?
committee recommended that the management takes administrative action against officers who fail to comply with Regulation 63(4) of the Public Finance Management Account Regulations 2015 in the management of retentions account and submit a status report to the auditors within 60 days of adoption of this report.
So there were two issues, administrative action and compliance with the PFM regulations that governs management of retentions account. Governor, is there evidence that any of the two recommendations have been implemented? The auditor says there's none. Or could you read your, I think it would be proper for you to read what you had prepared as your written response. Let's go to your written response, Governor.
On Chair, in our view, there was a problem of the reporting template regarding the accounting treatment of the retention money, and we have written to the auditor seeking their clarification on the same, a copy of which is hereby attached as Appendix 1.1.
Auditor?
Okay, Chair, when you look at the Appendix 1, the attachment is, they were seeking for clarification, which we invited them, and I think in the evening yesterday, we reconciled with the team that came that they did not need any guidance because this thing is in the template. Template is a guide to financial reporting. It is very clear, and I showed them, and I think with the implementation of the accrual, I think the issue will be addressed, but as at now, the issue was not addressed, and the officer who did...
Now, OAG, let's move away from the professional jargon. 104 million for retentions. I remember last week we are again dealing with an impeachment where the retention and deposits account was at the center. Was this money, is it traceable? Are you able to see the 104 million coming from certain payments or contractors and its payment also flowing procedurally?
Thank you, Chair. That is what we are querying in our issue. It should be indicated clearly in the cash flow as being reported that it is in the cash flow. The cash flow will tell you how much you have. By the end of the accounting, you will have reported cash and cash equivalent, including the retention. So in the absence of it not being disclosed in the financial statement, the management should explain.
So what's the effect? Is it that 104 million was paid as retentions or 104 million was reserved as retention?
It had not been paid.
It had not been paid.
It should be held by the county until the projects are completed and they are satisfied that the work was properly done. So they should have it as a retention, as a liability, but they are having the money. So if it was not disclosed in the cash flow, it means the cash and cash equivalent was understated.
Again, simple English. Was there evidence that they had, in their retentions and deposits account, they had reserved 104 million?
That evidence is not there because it is not
Good.
in the financial
Number two,
statement.
is there evidence that they paid out 104 million to contractors?
There's no evidence.
So it's effectively, we are saying there's a violation because definitely there are contractors who have been paid and retention definitely for every county government must apply.
Sure.
Governor, you get the drift. So even you writing a letter to the Auditor General does not address the matter. The question is, if you retain 104 million, where is it?
Chair, maybe in addition, are there contractors who are waiting to be paid from the retention?
Yeah, and how would they be paid if it has not been provisioned?
Okay, Chair, I'll have the CC answer that.
The challenge we had was the template that was originally presented did not have a column for the retention balances. And that's why we were requesting the OAG to guide us on how to respond to this query. but the money is in the account.
I think we've asked the OAG to confirm that, and they cannot say. I don't know whether you are able to confirm that the 104 million has been provisioned
Chair,
or withheld.
first to clarify, the template is done by the National Treasury under the Public Sector Board. And the template is there, very clear, giving a provision after the total operations, you do an adjustment. It's very clear if we open the template.
OAG, help us. We just want to know, was 104 retained? Is it in an account? Is it available for contractors when the defect period lapses? Let's start from there before we talk about the professional element.
It cannot be there if it is not reported in the financial statement.
So then, Governor, tell us where you're taking retention money. That is the thing. The reporting templates is neither here nor there.
Chair, the OAG, they are always presented with the bank balances and the statement. So when the issue becomes it's not there, and we can confirm with bank balances and bank statement that the 104 is in the bank as of the time of the audit.
Yeah, there's a statement in the management response, the last statement there. A schedule of the movement of cash has since been provided to the auditors for verification. Governor, what was that supposed to achieve, that statement? Where was that cash moving? And where is the annexure? A schedule of the movement of cash. And maybe for the auditor, have you seen that schedule for the movement of cash?
Honorable Member, no.
Governor?
Oh, Governor, sorry, Chair. Sorry. On that one, the cash movement schedule, we were actually responding to the original question, right? That's what it was. That was in reference to the actual original question.
So where is that schedule? Because we want to know or to see, if the auditor has not seen it, maybe we want to see it now. Where was that cash moving from where to where? The money meant for retentions.
It's actually attached to the management. Come answer. Hold on, just a minute.
Let's not get lost in accounting jargon. When you pay a contractor, retention, isn't it withheld automatically as per if miss payment? Isn't it? So I would struggle in an event where the Auditor General tells me that they have no visibility on the retained amounts. It can only point to theft and looting of that account. So that's what we need to be clear about. The issues on reporting are secondary. National Treasury.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe the CEC in charge of finance probably could point to this committee to help this committee actually solve this matter from their financials, because there is that section where it is showing the accounts that they have and the balances that are in those accounts. Can they point out that this retention money is in this account and it is in the financials? I think that one would help this committee to make a determination.
Yeah, because we just want to confirm the money is there. But the OAG does not seem to have that assurance.
Chair, we are very confident that the money is in the bank. The money is there.
Point us to it. Just point us to it. Remember, we said we are not doing the audit today. So ideally, we should have gone with the position of the OAG and perhaps asked EACC now to do the investigation. So just before we make that recommendation, try to convince us why this matter should not be a matter for investigation.
1 minute, Chair.
This is 104 million money that does not belong to you. It belongs to contractors and service providers.
I'll have you talk. Chair, it's being pointed out here to me, but if it's okay, come here. Just talk. Explain it.
You will need to introduce yourself for Hansard purposes.
Thank you, Chair. Through Excellency the Governor, my name is CPA James Katiwa. The difference that we are talking of, 104 million, is actually the difference between the open balance and the closing balance in that account. When you talk of the cash flow, it's actually the movement. During the year, there were funds which were withheld, and we also released funds to the contractors. The reason why we wrote to the OAG is to seek clarification, because the retention money, or rather the retention account, the money that we put there basically belongs to the contractors legally, but from an economic reality, the money is in our control. The difference that is given there of 104 million is actually reflected as a cash and cash equivalent in the cash flow statement. When you talk of adjusting for that particular figure, the difficulty that we had, or the challenge, was that this particular figure or the movement has already been captured under acquisition of assets. Because once we...
CPA, you are bombarding us with jargon, which you can discuss with your professional colleagues. Can you confirm to us that 104 million as retained can be traced?
In an account.
In an account?
Yes, Chair, we can do that.
Where is that?
We have it in the certificate. It's the difference between 251 million and 146 million.
Auditor General, you have interacted, you asked this question at the time of exit management letter. Who is telling the truth? How do we know? Because last week we were bombarded with impeachment proceedings and allegations against a governor for raiding the retentions account. And we don't want the MCAs of Nakuru to do the same to Governor Kihika. So we have an opportunity to deal with it. Is that money traceable?
Chair, if it was not reported in the financial statement, it is not supported with any document like bank statement or a control ledger. It is the
And the gentleman who was answering the question, what do you mean economically? It is money under your control. Might you have borrowed that money?
Yeah, because they raid it whenever there are delays in exchequer releases.
Yes.
That's a practice in countries.
Yeah, might you have
Mr. Chair,
and
through
so you have not
Excellency,
returned it.
what I mean by that is the account, the deposit account is in the name of Nakuru County. But whose money is this? The money we are holding is for the suppliers. Once we deduct the money, we issue them with receipts. So the money is theirs, but it belongs to, it is in our control, but it belongs to the contractors. So that's why, under cash accounting, that figure is captured in the statement of financial performance and acquisition of assets. This particular problem has been
Just stop it there. Treasury?
Thank you, Chair. Probably to help this committee make a determination, I would appreciate if the officer would tell us the deposit account as XYZ amount, and we have a reconciliation of that XYZ amount is money belonging to A, B, C, D. That one will settle the matter.
That's what we've been trying to ask. Then we are getting a lecture on accounting. Governor, after all that lecture, are you able to respond to that question?
Yes, Chair. Like I said, I feel confident the money is there, but maybe you can.
No, just
give
as
us
the
time
treasury
to
is
answer
saying,
that.
just
Yes.
show us this is the account, this is the money, this is how it flowed in. The accounting treatment is secondary.
Sure.
For us is the traceability and accountability for the funds.
Sure.
And I believe that you'd also be asking the same of your officers.
Sure. So
Do you feel like you have a sufficient explanation from the officers? And if you do, then because you speak our language, you are a fellow politician, a former senator. Can you digest that and just give us a response that we can understand? By showing us here is the money, page 19, here are the payments, page 27, and here is the balance, page 29.
From what was submitted, this was submitted to the Office of the Auditor General. We have the account number. This is our retention account at the Central Bank of Kenya. Account 100.
On which page is that?
Sorry, page 44. Oh, sorry. This is the one for the Auditor General.
Yes.
Yes, the certificates. Yes. So do the senators have that?
We must make progress on this. Okay. We have two options, because it looks like it does not matter how long we take on this, because your professionals are disputing the accounting treatment, but we, the politicians, are also not getting visibility on whether the 104 either exists or it was paid. We have sufficient experience of counties raiding and misusing the deposit and retentions account. We are asking the Auditor General, please do a thorough audit of deposits and retentions account in Nakuru County, and on the basis of your report, we will take a view on whether to escalate the issues to the EACC. So you can deal with it in the substantive audit. Okay. I don't know whether that's fair enough.
It's fine, Chair.
Okay.
Sure.
So then that matter remains unresolved. We'll be getting a proper update from the OAG, and if we find that the monkey games that are in other counties are also in Nakuru, then it will be a matter for EACC to deal with. The next matter.
Thank you, Chair, for your guidance. The next one was inaccuracy in the compensation of employees, where we were querying the variances based on basic salaries of permanent employees, basic wages of temporary employees, personal allowances paid part of the salary, pensions, and other personnel. When you look at the document that was provided to us in page 6, they have provided payroll for a whole month, and they have failed to demonstrate the variances that we were querying. So the issue is not addressed.
So, Auditor General, for avoidance of doubt, if you sum the amount as per ledger and sum the amount as per financial statements, is there a difference?
Sorry, Chair, we were not able to reconcile because we were very specific on the items, because the payroll have specific items in the votes.
No. Just from on the face of it, the total amount as per financial statements, you see it's broken down into several 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components. If you sum up the total amount as per financial statements, you get an amount which is 6.4 billion. Yes. If you sum up the amount as per ledger, what do you get? Do you get 6.4 billion?
The ledger is giving us
because if the total in the ledger is equal to the total in the financial statements, then now we just deal with the subcomponents. But if the two totals are different, then we have a serious problem.
The two totals, give us just a moment, we reconcile the
from the county, is there total amount as per ledger equal to total amount as per financial statements?
Yes, Chair.
Can we confirm that, OAG?
Yes, we are confirming because our query was different from what you have posted.
same. It confirms.
Because we first want to establish whether they reported fully the employee cost before we go to the subcomponents.
Chair, they are different.
So,
The
Governor,
financial statement is 6 and this one is 5.
Who's giving you advice? Mathematics, there cannot be two views. The total as per ledger is 5 billion.
5.8.
5.8 billion. Total as per financial statements is 6.4 billion.
Yes.
So from there, what was the accurate employee cost?
Chair, very briefly. Very briefly, Chair, let me point out to two other things here that we pointed out in our management response that add up to the 6.4. So we agree with the audit finding that the statement of receipts and payments reflects compensation of employees amount of 6,447,452,070 as disclosed in note 3 of the financial statements. The supporting ledgers as analyzed by the auditor is hereby attached, and it shows compensation of employees, and it's at the back on page 6 here, 6,289,067,854.47. The auditor has omitted 5,533,346.41 shillings and 152,850, no, is it million? 152,850,962.70 being payment in respect of employees' death gratuity and debt resolution to LAP Trust, respectively. Evidence of which is hereby provided under Appendix 2.1. On Chair, we wish to state that there is no variance between the amount in financial statement and the amount indicated in the ledger.
Auditor General.
Chair, that is not true because the total compensation they reported was 6.4, and looking at the schedule they have provided is 6.2, which still have a variance. And again, as they have indicated that we did not include 158 in respect to the LAP Trust, they have also not provided an extra to support the same figure of 154.
Governor?
152, sorry.
We are still dealing with the global figure before we go to the subcomponents, because the global figure must tie.
I agree, Chair. However, I mean, obviously, if some of the things are omitted, then it's never going to tie. So it's tying when everything is added up together.
And where is the verifiable breakdown of that difference between 6.2 and 6.4? That is what the auditor ought to see.
I'll have Dan answer that question.
Proceed.
The actual compensation of employees was 6.2 as analyzed. That is, we have the payroll, which was 5.7. That was IPPD. Then we had the manual payroll, which was 138. And then we had the casuals, which was 378. They all come to 6.2. On top of that, we had a debt, which we paid from the vote of the payroll. That is the money to LAP Trust we have indicated there, which was 152,850. That was not part of the payroll. It was a debt to LAP Trust, but we paid out of the vote of the payroll. Then there is what we pay as death gratuity. This is people who pass away. We pay every death 70,000. And we pay from your from the vote which you have, the salary vote, because you have already died, and we give you, it is within the terms that we pay 70,000 per employee. The people who are paid total to 5.5.
Dan, I see there is reference to Appendix 2.1 and 2.2. Are those details there? Are those details in some appendix? Because if you are going to be the one certifying figures, then you need to take an oath. If you are to go with your numbers, then we will need to put you under oath. So is there any record, evidence, tabled by the governor that supports what you're saying before us?
What I'm saying was in the evidence which we had submitted to
Where
the auditor
is
in the
it?
pre-
Where
He-
is
here
it?
It is not here. The appendix is not here.
But that is the issue. That is the issue, that as far as the Auditor General is concerned, your employee cost is not accurate because the ledgers do not tie with the financial statements. We have not even gone into the differences between the components. I am more interested in the global because we can deal with the global. The subcomponents can be an issue of misclassification, which we have already addressed. But the total must tie. And it can only tie where there is evidence. You cannot tell us that it was 6.2 and yet you reported 6.4. So if you're talking of lab trust, 152 million, gratuity, 70,000 per death, manual payroll, 138 million, cash holds, 378 million, where is that schedule? So that we can close the gap between 6.4 and 6.2. It is a simple thing. Where is it?
Chair, I'm also wondering, when you are preparing this schedule, all you needed is an extra column for those payments you're speaking about, the 70,000, because you have already put the manual payroll figure there. What stopped you from adding the others so that the chair can see what you're saying?
Yeah, because you have a schedule here for 6.2, but you have reported 6.4. How do we close that gap? Page 6, here. Perhaps this is what you are reading.
I'm seeing it.
That's what you are reading.
It's a gap there.
Yes, so what the gap between 6.29 and 6.447, how do we close it?
I request the committee to give us time to submit.
So what was the accurate employee cost in Nakuru in that financial year?
The accurate employees cost was, excluding those, is 6.2.
The total cost on the total compensation of employees in that financial year. What was it?
6.294.
But you have reported in your financial statement 6.447.
Yes. And that's what we have said. There are two items which were included, which is not part of the employee's cost.
So why then post them as part of employee costs if they are not part of employee costs?
Because they drew from the vote of the employee's cost.
Why didn't you give that explanation to the auditor during the time of audit?
We did give.
Oh, but you have just said you want more time to explain. Which is which?
Provide the evidence.
Governor, how much did you spend on employees in that year? Was it 6.4 or 6.2 billion?
It is 6.4.
It is 6.4.
Correct.
But your breakdown only accounts for 6.2.
Chair,
6.29.
I'm told that previously, and I say that's why I say I'm told, previously, because we can verify, or Secretariat can verify. Is that right? Oh, I'll have CEO Kakai explain that, about those documents that were previously submitted to you all.
I hope it answers the question rather than finding an escape route. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Our employee compensation is 6.4, and this was submitted to the Senate during our response to the first audit query. And that is when you later gave us the recommendations. So it was evidence in the first submission.
If it was closed, we would have marked it as closed. The reason why it remained unresolved is because that there were queries on it. So I don't think that is sufficient justification. And in any case, the Auditor General ought to have seen it. I think it's just an issue of simple maths. Between 6.2, 6.4. Provide that evidence, provide that breakdown. Otherwise, we will be saying that you have created ghosts in Nakuru and you're paying ghosts that difference of 200 million. Auditor General, how do you advise we proceed with this? We proceed to investigations and prosecution, or it's something that you can verify?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Because when you look at, as you've guided on global view, the total cost is 6.4, and what they have given overall is 6.29. I think when we get the difference, it's narrowing down to the 152 something. So as they have requested, and because our team is already going to do the financial audit next week, we can do the reconciliation. We also look at the payroll and the actual they are talking about with your guidance.
Patrick?
Chairman, because this committee is also going to look at the payroll reports for counties, maybe the client then must be requested to do a write-up on how this issue is resolved, so that when you look at the payroll reports for Nakuru, this matter is addressed then also. Because
the danger is if we take 6.2,
yes,
then they might be at 38%. And if it's 6.4, they would be at 40%. So if you're using some threshold, then they might fall below that threshold. So since this matter has come up where there's doubt on the accuracy of employee costs, clerk, Nakuru then must be one of those counties where we have a comprehensive conversation on the HR audit.
Noted, Chair.
So we could proceed in that manner. We had given ourselves 2:30 as time for conclusion of this exercise, but I can see we are taking much longer. Perhaps what the OAG has confirmed as unresolved, we should just pronounce ourselves on the action that should be taken to avoid a fresh audit. What is the next matter that is unresolved, that is material?
Okay, thank you, Chair. The next material issue is on unconfirmed cash and bank balance.
Okay. What was the issue?
We are querying, however, the cash book for the audit review reflected a total balance of 3.6 million, resulting to an expend variance of 339,548,665. In addition, a review of the bank reconciliation statements provided disclosed bank charges of 19 thousand that had not been recorded in the cash book as at 30th June 2024. Review of the bank reconciliation statement of the recurrent accounts revealed that there were 5 stale checks amounting to 1.125 million, which remained outstanding as at 30th June 2024. Management did not provide an explanation why the checks had not been reversed in the cash book.
I think they were broadly in 3 categories: administrative action against the responsible officers. There were broad recommendations: administrative action, and then ensuring strict adherence to the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board by submitting accurate and reliable
was as a result of different cut-off periods, which we believe is going to be cured. Oh, I'm so sorry. So I have to start all over again. Honorable Chair, all the information required by the auditors was supplied during the time of audit. The unexplained variance of 339,508,665 was as a result of different cut-off periods, which we believe is going to be cured by transitioning to the accrual basis of accounting. Honorable Chair, there were no stale checks, but payments pending payment in the system, which were later on paid. Appendix 5.1. Thank you.
OAG, the one that sticks out is a 339 million.
Yes.
Does that explanation account for it?
No, Chair. Looking at page 154 is where they have provided the evidence, and they have only given total amount of the stale check, but there's no reconciliation for the variance of 339 that we had asked for an explanation.
I think the numbers on the stale checks are fairly low, but there is a variance of 339 million between financial statements and cash book balances. Should the two tie?
They should do a reconciliation because the bank balance may be high because you have unpresented checks. So the balance of the cash book and the bank balance should be reconciled, which they have not shown how the variance has been reconciled.
What should be the source of truth?
The source of truth should be a bank reconciliation.
So what does a layman make of this 339 million? That is it in the bank and not in the financial statements? Or it is, give us a layman interpretation.
The layman interpretation is when we are preparing financial statement, we are using the bank balance of the cash book.
Mm-hmm.
But in the bank, you may have more money. And if you have more money, you must reconcile those people who have not taken their checks to be cleared. So that one should narrow down. Why am I having more money in the account, but my cash book is having less? So in that case, they may misrepresent the cash and cash equivalent, which will affect the overall performance of the financial position.
So in this case, the cash book has 3.6 billion.
Yes.
And the financial statement has total bank balance of 3.9 billion.
Not really, Chair. The cash book balance, the 3.6, is what is in the financial statement because of our treatment of the cash basis. But the actual bank balance is higher.
The total bank balance is 3.9 billion from your finding.
The cash book is 3.6, but the one for...
Sorry, let's agree on what's in the bank and what's in the statement.
The bank is 3.940 billion.
That is what is in the bank.
Yes, as you read statement, the first...
What is in the financial statement? What's in the cash book?
3.6. 3.6.
And cash book is really an extract from the financial statement.
The cash book is what we take to the financial statement.
The financial statement.
Yes.
So what is the effect where there is that variance? And don't talk of reconciliation. What to a layman, did someone steal some money between the cash book and the bank balance?
It can lead to that because this is what we are presenting as having. But this other one in the bank, somebody can take away with it because it is not presented in the financial. The difference is 300.
So the difference between cash book and bank balance is 339 million.
Yeah.
How do we explain that, Governor?
Chair, I think, and I know you don't want us to get into all that nitty-gritty, but I think part of it, as we were saying, is there is more money in the bank because there is some things that we have paid for that have not been cashed. I think in very layman term. But I also said that that will change going forward. It's based on the cutoff dates, okay. So, but that will change, Chair, going forward because we are going to go to a different accounting system. Is that's right?
Auditor General, is this attributable to cutoff period?
Chair, no, because the financial statement is reported as at 30th June 2024. The bank statement we are reporting of the 3.9 billion is as at 30th June. The cash book is also as at 30th June. So there's no issue of cutoff in this presentation.
So Governor, you must tell us that you have 3.9 billion in the bank, but you're only reporting 3.6 billion.
But
that is the layman's...
Chair, yes. First of all, it is a cutoff because I know sometimes the financial year, yes, closes end of June, but they extend for us a bit, like into July, and I'll have them explain. Because I know as council, sometimes we sit and negotiate with Treasury, and we say, hey, you guys are giving us money, like maybe May and June, it's dumped into our systems a week to the end of the financial year. So we kind of have some negotiations and they extend for us another 3 weeks. So yes, the cutoff was June 30th, but there's still more going on in the back end. But I don't want to misquote it.
Can they explain it using an extract from the bank statements? Because that's Msemakweli.
Sure.
I've had your broad explanation, but for them now is to prove it. But OAG, before then?
Chair, in a layman point, if I receive money in my bank and I'm an accountant, why don't I record it in the cash book so that the cash book can reflect what is in the bank if I've not used it? Because what we are having here, the bank was having 3.9 billion, but their cash book did not have this money. So it means it was not accounted for in the cash book, which is now giving us a balance to the financial statement. So that's where our argument is. They ought, once they receive the money in the account on 30th June, they ought to have posted it in the cash book to reflect if they had not paid anything that remained unpresented.
Treasury, before the county comes in.
Thank you, Chair. There is one document that can be able to settle this issue once and for all. And that one is called a bank reconciliation statement. It should be able to explain all that. What was the opening balance in the cash book and in the bank and how they reconcile. So if that one can be provided, honorable members of this committee, I think this committee will be able to make a determination very easily.
Yes, CEC?
For CEC, there is a statement made by the auditor saying that the difference alludes to the loss of money. Yeah? And I think from the discussion that we are having, and the governor mentioned it, there could be some payment that has not been reflected in the cash book. So is she able to establish that? Because she cannot tell us, I think like, you know, there is loss of money. She needs to establish. Now the difference is this money left here, it has not been reflected here. But if you say that there is a pointer to the loss of money, it doesn't make sense because it's a blanket, you know, kind of statement. Maybe she needs to clarify on that.
Remember, this could be the third time the auditor is saying this, because the auditor said it during the time of audit, in the interim certificate, the auditor said it in the certificate that was tabled, we said it again in our recommendations. So the burden of proof is on the county. See, governor says that there is something that you can explain to justify the cutoff.
Thank you, Chair. Through the governor, I would like to point to the last financial year where the National Treasury final equitable share disbursement came after
that one the governor has explained, and we understand that practice. Your job now is to show us that in this bank account, this is a part that came on 15th of June, totaling to 300 million. And then we close the matter.
Yes, Chair, but the other challenge is with the auditor.
No, leave the auditor alone. The governor has given you the opportunity to explain to us how this is a cut-off issue. Please use this opportunity to explain it so that tomorrow my colleague senator or anybody else does not say that Governor Kihika stole 300 million. Left unchallenged, that would be the impression. So please give us the assurance that what we are explaining is supported by evidence.
Yes, it is supported by evidence, and the biggest challenge is that the auditors take the cutoff date as 30th of June, whereas the National Treasury and Controller of Budget and the CBK allow us to transact, and especially for this the financial year in question.
We are with you on that page.
Yes.
You are saying what the governor said, and we agree that is a practice.
Yes.
So just demonstrate that the 332 million, because I know the window is usually opened up to 15th of July. From that, the closure is 30th June, but you have some 15 days. Just demonstrate that, and then we move on. I think that your job was to demonstrate. Governor has already made that point.
I can, if allowed, I can be able to provide the same document that were provided to the auditor, showing, and the matter in question is we have more money, not less.
No. You have reported less. You have reported less. It means you are under declaring. If I send you to collect my debt of 1 million shillings, but then you only report 600, umenibia njiani, si ndio? Mmeibia watu wa Nakuru njiani by having more money in the account but declaring less. So it is not a smaller problem. Auditor General, because we are not doing the audit now.
We are not doing the audit, but we're just trying to get a clear explanation. Allow me just go to the statement, their own financial statement, page 2, statement of assets and liability, where they are reporting their bank balance at note 13 as 3.9 billion. And the cash basis, you are supposed to report the cash book balance. This is what they are reporting. So from our understanding, the 3.9 is the cash book balance. But the actual that we saw when we were verifying the document, the actual cash book was 3.6. So we are querying the difference. So the issue of cutoff is not here because the 3.9 is in their document.
OAG, there is something they are alleging there, that they provided those documents to explain that variance at point of audit. Did that happen? You know, Chair, sometimes I sit here and I'm so frustrated because, as you know, we are also audited. I'm an accounting officer. But when the auditor raises these things and you provide documents, the thing goes away. How is it that between accountants you don't understand what you are saying? So you can imagine where we are. Some of us are farmers and lawyers. We are looking at you. You are an accountant. Him is an accountant. How can you not understand each other on what is required to be done? He's saying one thing, you're saying the other. Did they provide those documents he's saying, or he's lying to us?
Through the Chair, Honorable Member, if they provided, they should provide it even now in their submission after your recommendation. So if they don't have it today, how can they prove that they gave us?
Yeah, because in any case, if they had provided it, we would have dropped it. We would have not sent it to the House for a resolution.
So I think, Governor, here, your team has to be... and when he says the problem is with the AOG, I don't know. I mean, you people are all... accounting is one language. How is it lost in translation, Governor?
The law is never clear.
The law is always very clear, but numbers should be clearer.
Governor, 300 million, whether overstated in one side or understated in the other, but how do we trace it?
Chair, once again, like Senator Sifuna of the big city of Nairobi says, sometimes I don't know what happens in between us and them and you all and all that. Because I can see from, this is the one of the AOG office, yeah? And you can see they have it as 3,940,844,221 as the bank balance. So I know they are saying, again, I'm also not an accountant, so I'm trying to quote and not misquote you. So I know you are saying that what was in the cash book was 3.6, but you can also see yourselves, you are able, from what we provided, to see that we had 3.9. Through the chair, sorry. So I'm not just directing it at the
No.
So I'm also confused.
Where is the evidence that
okay,
you
wouldn't have this chair, and I'm sorry, because this is the one now between us, between ourselves, from the previous, like you were saying, like Senator Sifuna was saying, where maybe they have a query and we provide documents, and then they come back, you either drop it or you say it's not satisfied, and we proceed. So initially it had been provided, that was what we had in the bank.
What is that document you provided, Governor?
What is this called? These are the financial statements to the Auditor General, Office of the Auditor General.
I don't think that's what they are looking for.
We have the same financial statements.
No, but you're saying that we never said.
It's the one bringing up the inconsistency.
The variance.
The thing and you started very well, that it's a cut-off issue, and you are able to demonstrate. That's what we've been waiting for, because we understand that background. We understand that the systems can be opened up to 15th of July. So just explain that, because your opponents are going to use this and say that Susan stole 300 million. It can't be traced. It was established in the Senate. This is your opportunity to address that.
So Chair, again, and maybe again there's some confusion here. So Chair, I'm saying we are in agreement that what was shown or what we provided as what we had in the bank was 3.9. So there is no doubt as far as that. So what they say was in the cash book is 3.6. But in between, there may have been movements past their cut-off dates, which we agree. So what we are saying now is perhaps then give us a little time to provide documents on what that 300, which is the variance between the 3.9 and the 3.6, that may have been what was happening after the cutoff, may have been.
But that's what he said he provided. Yes. What is it you provided?
It can't be in the financial statements. It has to be a separate bank certificate to show the movements or the transactions that happened outside the period. It can't be here, because here you have reported the inconsistency. So we must also protect the Auditor General from unfair accusations.
Chair, allow us to provide the document, because...
So what document? Do you know what document we want?
Yes.
What is it?
The reconciliation for the close of year and after the close of year.
Within that period of 15 days?
Yes.
Is that what you're looking for, Auditor General?
Through the chair, no.
Oh.
They are not getting very clear.
Correct. Tell them what you want.
And Your Excellency, maybe, yes, you may have not been our profession. This document that we are referring to is your financial statement. As our report is inside, but the old document belongs to the Nakuru County
Executive.
So this balance of 3.9 is a reflection of your cash book that you reported. Sure. But the 3.6 is the actual cash book we were given.
The source document.
The source document, the primary, was reading 3.6. It's not a matter of cut.
So Senator Sifuna, I know you'll relate with this. So the polling station is reading 3.6. Bomas is reading 3.9.
Thank you, Chair, for dumbing it down for me. So the math was starting to, but now I can see clearly where the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we are confused. Again, I'm sorry, I have to keep saying it again. I don't know in how many different ways. So the auditor considers as of June 30th, correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
But for us,
we went with the transactions up to 2nd of August, and that is what
that's all you need to show. And
that is what we are asking. You
So
isolate.
Okay.
and demonstrate.
Chair, can I help? Just the way that you have helped me by using an analogy of bombers, which is something I know very well. Can the OAG also dumb it down for the team from the county? What documents are you looking for? If they have a name in the financial terms.
They need to give us a bank reconciliation that is giving us the difference.
The 300,
the 339.
So I think because we have to report back to the House, we will still maintain that that variance has not been addressed, but we will ask the two parties to attempt a reconciliation, failure to which this is a matter that will need to be investigated for purposes of prosecution. Patrick?
Thank you, Chair. Just to add on what you've directed, if they can give the bank reconciliation, let that bank reconciliation be supported by, so that we are able to see the individual transactions. And the vouchers, yes. Certificate of bank balance has also been included.
Okay, you have gotten the point, Governor?
Yes.
Yeah, and please, let's be careful with this process, because once we go back to the House with a recommendation, we will expect that that recommendation is followed up, be it by the OAG or the EACC. In the time remaining, there are 3 issues we will deal with, and then we'll take a view on the remaining issues. We probably might have to organize another appointment, but there's a payment of court decrees, unsupported legal fees, project implementation, and something to do with the revenue system, supply, installation, and commissioning of the revenue management system. Let's start with under report on lawfulness and effectiveness in the use of public resources, the finding by the Auditor General under project implementation, where 1,721 projects were assessed. Auditor General, what was your general observation on the 1,721 projects? What was it that was unlawful and ineffective?
Thank you, Chair. We raised quite a number of issues under project implementations, where some projects were stalled, some were ongoing. But when you look at the documents they provided to us, it's a similar document, not identifying what is the progress of those reports, because they have just given us a status without actual committee recommendation, because we expected them, if a project is stalled or a project is still ongoing, we expected them to have a committee that goes around, know how much was allocated for this project, how much have we spent, what is the progress work, and what is delaying, which is not in any of their documents to support the progress of this stalled and incomplete project. And that one we can see in
Sorry, Auditor, if you sum up the amounts queried here, how much are we dealing with in terms of stalled projects? Because I've seen point number 4 there where you're dealing with 7.4 billion worth of projects. So to put it in context, if you sum up what you've queried under point 1, 2, 3, all the way to 5, this is approximately 8 billion.
Yeah, it is 66 plus 56, which is almost 110. There's 95, getting to 200.
It's about 7.8 billion. We can round it off to about 7.8 billion in terms of stalled and incomplete projects. Governor, does that sound like the reality on the ground? That you've got stalled projects to the tune of 7.8 billion Kenya shillings?
Chair, not anymore now at this point. I think many have been completed. We did put in place an RRI team that has been very helpful in making sure that those that had stalled even for very many years, over 10 years and all that, have since they were prioritized, and that's what we have been working on. So I don't believe that's the position right now.
Is there a schedule here that gives us a project status update? Because the auditor says that whatever was presented really was an IFMIS extract. That
Chair, maybe if I can guide, they have presented it on page 261, 262, 263, and the comment is stalled for most of the projects.
Okay, so Governor, going back to your documents, the auditor has queried about 7.8 billion, which you say might not be the current scenario. In your assessment, what is the approximate value of stalled projects?
Well, Chair, first of all, the auditor is reading the project status, which is stalled. That's what it was at that time back then. But next to it is another column that's the status as of August 2025. And you can see stalled at finishing level now, work ongoing at 70%. And I want to point out, Chair, like you have said previously, because there's sometimes a lot of misinformation or out of context. You can see some of these projects were started in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So it's also an issue that I have had to deal with as a governor in Nakuru County. So when I've come in, I have not, for the first 1 and 2 years, I wasn't really able to do what I had myself wanted to do, but to really just work on stalled projects. So we are working on it diligently, and as you can see, from that column as of 2025, we are really on it, and you can see some of it because since since the award had been done, at this point you see contractors declining the jobs. So we've also had another very big issue of re-advertising and getting them going. But I can guarantee the committee that, as you can see, work is going on. You'll see on page 263, 97% complete, only painting remaining. The next constructor, drilled and capped and all that sort of stuff. So yes, there has been a problem. It's been an issue that I have inherited actually, but I'm diligently and consistently working on it to make sure that we
Governor, help me at page 261 there. What is the status of that construction of a public toilet at Expenditure Trading Center?
What number is that?
At page 261, you will see it is, I think, fourth from bottom.
Expenditure, there, public toilet via. This was the one that they talked to us about.
What is that? What does that word mean? Is it a word?
Actually, what happens is sometimes when we go for the supplementary, as you know, in
what does that word mean?
They move the money to a different project.
I swear to God, this is the first time I'm hearing this word.
Yeah.
Called environment. But
we learn every day, Senator. Environment. I guess maybe you heard it as environment perhaps before. Yeah. So they do change.
But even if you use that as a test case, a public toilet that cost 1 million, that started in 2019, 2020.
How does it stall?
We were with you here in the Senate.
I was in the Senate with you.
Yeah. So don't be defensive.
I wouldn't.
How does that stall? How does a 1 million public toilet? Sorry?
And sometimes also you could find that, granted, I don't want to say that for this specific one, we've had issues where perhaps money was allocated to, say, a toilet, and then you find out the land was not public, or the land had not been acquired. So you can't proceed because then it becomes an audit issue. But I don't want to say specifically. I would have to come back to you on that. I don't know why that happened.
And then
what we're not seeing, Chair, is the status of that project.
Correct.
Status of completion.
So now
because
is
zero
it
amount has been paid?
Which one?
Zero amount has been paid for that particular project.
No, zero
amount. Has it started at all?
No, when it's fired, it means the money, it's not going to be done.
So why is it here as a stalled project? How can it stall when it has not started?
Because the contract had been awarded at that time, back in when I was in the Senate with the chair. So the contract had been awarded. Maybe the contractor never took sight, right?
So is it
so why
but no payments were done.
Why does it still appear then?
I don't know.
I mean,
but we are working on that. I actually brought on board when I came in because I realized a big part of my problem in the county is a lot of public money spent on projects that have not been completed. And we're talking about since 2010 even, I mean, way back. So I have brought on board a director here, stand up Patrick maybe, who is helping me with these sorts of stuff where they go to the ground and every project, now not from the office, but they actually go and see the status, because you could also be given this and told it's completed and nothing has started. So we are now completely on top of it using this department.
The governor, the actual status is it has not started.
No, it's not even going to start. The money has been wired.
Yes. So it is not stalled.
So how do you deal with that, OAG? How do you clean the books of the county so that these things don't continue appearing? And
But
then
before you clean the books, does it mean the community still need that particular toilet?
Yeah, because there's a public participation aspect.
I don't want to answer in a way that I could mislead the House, because I'm not sure about this specific one, because it could have even been that there was another toilet nearby, but somebody had put money for this as a toilet. So they ended up deciding, instead of the toilet, give us water in that public area. And they wired the money to do water. I don't know.
But I think, Governor, for the benefit of your politics and also benefit of the community, if the community still need that particular toilet, you can send your officer to check what is on the ground and then review and see 1 million is nothing as far as your budget is concerned. So what do? You need to give another view.
Does a toilet exist at Elementaita Trading Center?
They are private ones. Maybe somebody decided that it's better for us to use private facilities at Elementaita and deny county revenue.
Because what Senator Dula is saying is important. We are all practical politicians. You know, in a trading center, in a market, the traders would want a toilet. Now, if in 2019, 2020, they wanted a toilet, and it has not been done because it has been wired, I don't know how you explain that to the vegetable sellers.
But Chair, I mean, I don't want to make it seem so bad in the sense that maybe the toilet was taken away and they were left without a toilet. Let's remember a lot of this environment happens in the county assembly when they do the supplementary. And before the supplementary, they have to do public participation. So also because, and I would hope I am right, also because like you and I, they are politicians, I hope also Senator Dula, through the chair, they would not take out money for a toilet and leave that community without a toilet. So there may have been another toilet nearby.
But Governor, you're speaking in very vague terms. Eh? Maybe, I don't know.
No, because I don't want to answer specific to this one.
That's exactly our expectation. That when you come here, no, that when you come before the Senate, you are giving a specific. It's now 3 years down the line. Surely this is an exercise that should have been conducted in the first few years of your administration so that you get to know if we are proceeding with this project. If the money was sent to another one or something else. And I also need you to confirm. You can see that on that same page 261, there was construction of an ECD toilet at Giashonge Primary. There's another one at Ereri ECD. And your comment there, status as at August 2025, is contractor declined work. In all fairness, Governor, that's not a status. The sort of state
up to now. And does it mean the ECDs, they're not having a toilet? Where are they going to? Are they using bushes? You know, and the school did not have toilets. So there was a toilet for male teachers. No, there was a bush for male teachers and a bush for female teachers. A bush for, let me not mention the county. I already mentioned it, okay. Yeah. So are you using bushes?
Yeah, which is what devolution.
Governor, maybe When as you design an ECD center, for example, do you put the classroom? Do you put a staff? Do you put? I know children are still young; they might need to take an afternoon nap. They could be somewhere they're eating from, and then maybe the issue of washrooms. And then, Governor, do you also have a feeding program? Because I know most of the counties, including Nairobi, they have what we call dish in a county, although wana dishi watu. So can you paint a picture on how your ICD looks like, so that we don't even need to come to Nakuru? What is the design of your ICD, and just finalize maybe if you have a feeding program, maybe like Uji or to ensure the enrollment to ECD classes.
Okay, before you respond, the officer you said you're brought in to help you on this, I want you to, as the governor is responding, work out, in this report of the Auditor General, there's about 7.8 billion in terms of stalled projects as at the time of audit. In your report, you have indicated that 13 have been completed, that there's been some progress. Can you attempt to quantify what is the current value of stalled projects so that we can take a view on effectiveness? But Governor, you may respond first.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll have, if you don't mind, I'll have Patrick, who is that director, speak for a minute. What we did, and we started this at the close, actually sometime in the last financial year, his department and, or his directorate, sorry, plus staff from every department visited, went across the county, visited and got the status of all these stalled projects, but also sat and did like a workshop. I think we called it a workshop at that time, where including the MCA and members of from the executive, staff from the executive, the projects that were no longer viable, decided, let's take them off our books, or do we add more money, or has another class been built since, and you know, that sort of decision, and then decided on what to do with that. They had a clinic, actually, that's what they called it then. And so when, through the chair, so Senator Sifuna feels I'm not being very specific, I feel I've been specific enough in, for example, in saying, say we vied. However, we shall do an addendum where we'll be able to give you what happened exactly when they vied, where did that money go, or did it go to another project, or you know, that sort of stuff. As far as the toilets, it's one of the things that I'm very keen on for the ECD students, because many of them have been sharing toilets with the older students, so that you find these little babies are having to share toilets with those older kids, and it's not been very good. But when now we do the classroom, we do the desks, we do chairs, or rather we furnish. We do the chairs, we do a toilet, we do a water tank and a water washing point with that ECD. On the floor, we do terrazzo, and we do some nice painting colors so that it's attractive to these little kids. In addition to that, we have as a county a feeding program that is the fortified porridge. And indeed, since we started this program, it has increased our enrollment. I was at about 55,000 ECD students. We now have a little over 60,000. We had like 3 or 4 classrooms in some very hot area without much going on that had been closed, but once we introduced the porridge, the schools have reopened with kids coming. So it's really just helped in a lot of ways, and we are doing a lot of infrastructure in terms of these ECDs.
So,
but yeah, sorry, let me have
back to your officer.
1 minute. Yes.
The school feeding, I think she has responded, but we were on projects with quantifiable values. Maybe let's deal with that. And for your information, I've just logged into your PMS system that you have referred to here. And I can see that stalled projects are 0, varied projects are 0, vired projects are 0. So this does not seem to correspond or tie with the submissions that you have made here. But you may proceed.
Proceed.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, my Governor. And I just want to appreciate also the committee and the chair. We want to say that this is a very good exercise to help us really paint a picture of what happens at the ground and the commitment of good leaders like our Excellency Governor. Like I said, my name is Kigunda, the Director in charge of Efficiency Monitoring Unit. And
Kigunda, go straight to the point.
Yes, when we came on board, we evaluated all the projects within the county, and we did an audit of which projects should continue, which ones should not, and which ones should be put on an RRI. And in a nutshell, what we have done, from what the Auditor General cited, the 26 projects that he had cited or she had cited that had not gone on or had stalled, out of those 13 projects have since been completed. And this, from your simple calculation, will represent a 50% completion rate. Based on what had been cited. So
50%. So are you saying that you've delivered about 3.9 billion in terms of projects?
Sure.
In terms of completion.
And that could be also reflected on our absorption. Based on the last year's absorption of what we absorbed from our development absorption fund. That can be reflected there.
Okay.
Yes.
For maybe Vice Chair first, then we give some certain directions.
Yeah, page 263, drilling of Arahuka borehole. It has been drilled and capped. Are you there? Yes. And we are saying that the acquisition of relevant approval documents from WRA 6, but you've not supplied that water. There's no value for money. When do you expect to complete it?
This is cited in this particular financial, and actually this particular project is on an RRI. So within the next 100 days, this project ought to be done.
Could we then, because I'm seeing in your response, you have referred to CPIMS, tried to log on to it. I don't know whether this is test data or this is a real data, because in some cases it's zero.
Your Excellency, the Chair, that system is what has been put on and is on a pilot.
When do you expect to go live?
To go live within 100 days. It is on also
from
now.
No,
from
no,
September.
It has to be 100 days from a certain milestone.
1st September. Our RRIs begin from 1st of September. Actually, we already in the days of RRI.
By 1st of September, you'll go live.
We count the RRI period starts from 1st of September. So within 100 days, we'll be live.
So when will that be?
That will be end of November.
End of November. November.
Sure.
Auditor General, around November, you'll be concluding your audit?
Yes, Chair.
So keep this in view. I think what is impressive is that you are trying to automate this, because you've got so many projects that you cannot maintain them on some manual Excel worksheet. So this is good. I hope you have also looked at what counties like Makwiny have done. I think they've built platforms around this. Even Moranga have also demonstrated something. So we can allow you to work on this so that we can have a more accurate report. When your officer says you've delivered 3.8 billion in terms of projects, it must tie with what we are seeing on the dashboard. So OAG, in terms of implementing
The executive to give us percentage completion, a better document to the audit with percentage completion, which you can then compare next year.
Yes, I think that would be important. If you went the system route, I'm sure it would give you that. But whatever route you're using must be able to give OAG the proper picture of status. There are two issues relating to legal fees, payment of court decrees and unsupported legal fees. Auditor General, see whether the county has...
Because they're all touching on legal.
Proceed.
And from the query that we had, out of the amount that was paid for legal fees, let me just take it up again. Review of records provided indicated that several legal cases filed in court against the county executives were decreed in the interest of claimants and amounted to 154 million, out of which 66.4 had been paid, leaving a balance of 88 million. Further, the county executive had not disclosed the contingent liability of potential court award in the financial
With the provisions of Regulation 41, 2, and 3 of PFM Regulations 2015, the county government should prepare and submit to the Control of Budget a payment plan prioritizing payment of pending bills as a first charge on the county revenue fund, failure to which the subsequent quarter budget releases will not be done.
So that was to deal with the 88 million,
yes,
which was outstanding.
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
The second one, the county executive should make provision in its budget for contingent liability in respect of the legal fees pursuant to Regulation 25(2)(e) of the Public Finance Management County Government Regulations 2015. The third, the county executive utilizes the office of the county attorney to provide legal advice and court representation. The county should provide evidence of compliance with the County Attorneys Act within 60 days of adoption of this report.
Since we read both findings, was there an additional recommendation under unsupported legal fees?
Yes, there was one. The Office of the County Governor undertakes administrative action against the responsible officers who fail to provide documents to the auditors at the time of the audit. In accordance with the Section 156. 6 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012.
Okay, I noticed the response by the county on both is similar. So, Governor, take us through the action that you have taken.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, the payment plan has been prepared and submitted to the Controller of Budget. The main issue is lack of budget allocation for settlement of these pending bills, which are mainly recurrent in nature. Appendix 2.1. The county executive will in the future make a provision in the budget for contingency the majority of the court cases against the county government. Currently, the cases are over 500 in number, whereas the attorneys or the advocates in the office of the county attorney are only 5. Therefore, due to the overwhelming number of cases, the office is constrained and may not be able to handle these matters and thus therefore outsource external legal counsel on a need budgetary allocation to employ more legal counsel to support its operations.
There was a very direct recommendation to disclose your contingent liabilities. Could you demonstrate that that has been done? It flowed from the observation of the Auditor General that further the county executive has not disclosed the contingent
A number of these court degrees might have arose even from the municipality area and the previous administration. Most of this was maybe chair non-attendance of an advocate, and therefore the matter was entered in absence of a legal representative. So have you recruited the county attorney, the solicitor? And have you given them the necessary resources to ensure the functionality of the office of the county attorney so that you don't need to spend a lot of money in terms of hiring the legal services? I'm not saying this so that lawyers do not get job, but of course, I remember, Chair, you remember when the Queen's Counsel was being brought in from abroad. And at that time, we thought it was necessary because we had more qualified legal counsel. And I know Nakuru would not have a short of serious legal mind. So what have you done in compliance with the County Attorney Act to ensure that you don't spend a lot of money on hiring of law firms that will eat into the budget, which would have done
and monthly performance reports? The committee recommended that there should be administrative action on the person who was supposed to supply the documents. What type of administrative action did you prefer on that officer who did not provide documents?
And whether the documents were provided to the satisfaction of the auditors. Because that administrative action would be recommended in the case of late submission. I don't know, auditor, whether they were provided to you, even though late.
Yeah, they were not provided because even when you look at the response and the attachments, what we have here is different items which are, maybe they can explain how they are related to.
I think you can leave it there, because if they are not provided, then the recourse is not just administrative action, but investigation and prosecution. Governor?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair, let me start with Senator Cherarki's question on whether we have a county attorney and a county solicitor and other attorneys so that we do not spend too much money on legal fees from hiring outside firms. Yes, we do have a county attorney, and yes, we do have a county solicitor, and their department also has a few other attorneys who support that department. However, as Senator said, when I was in the Senate with him, we thought this would completely cure the issue of having to bring in outside firms. But now, as I sit here, I can tell you that the kind of cases that we have in the county, we are sued so much as a county government, but I'm sure that's not just us, but across the board, even national government and all that. But beyond that, actually, I also have some serious issues on, say, land grabbing, where maybe there's public land, you're trying to put up an ECD as we were talking, and you can't because somebody has grabbed the land, so you have to go to the court. So there's so many cases that the numbers I have are not able to take care of these cases and not drop the ball. But we are going to add more budget so that we can hire more lawyers in-house, so that then we reduce to very minimal getting lawyers from outside the county government. So that we are working on that. On the supply of documents, I know there was a question on how we identify these lawyers. I believe there's a framework agreement on lawyers who have been pre-qualified, and when an issue comes up that for whatever reason,
the government is providing documentation on how you identified them. Providing the documents, not an explanation. It is the documents to show how the lawyers or the law firms were identified.
And the documents have been identified in this audit. Query. I mean, it's a very straightforward thing.
Sure.
We are not questioning you on the rationale.
Okay.
Because that's a policy decision, which as a CEO you can make. And I think recently there was a report of a committee that said it is okay, you can have the county attorney and the solicitor and in-house staff, but there would be specialized matters that can allow you to outsource.
Yeah.
But there are certain procedures. There's an approval at the CEC level. There was the issue of the Attorney General circular.
But Dan, I think you can handle that question.
Do we have the County Attorney in the room? This matter was raised when the auditor was in Nakuru 1 year ago. This matter was raised in the management letter. This matter was raised when the report was tabled in the Senate at the end of the last year. This matter was considered when you sent your written responses. Here we are looking for action. It cannot be that we need to provide more time. If the gentleman says the documents are not provided, what stops this matter from being an EACC investigation? EACC, I think you need to take this up because it's a simple thing. 22.6 million paid, but the relevant documentation asked by the Auditor General was not provided. If they're provided now, they'll end up being forgeries.
Chair, I had requested that the legal counsel goes through that provision of the Public Audit Act because we're also in a learning cycle, and so the officers will also learn.
Okay, that's section 62 or
62.
62 of the Public Audit Act?
Yes. A person shall not B, without justification, fail to provide the information required under this Act. C, without justification, fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required under this Act. D, submit false or misleading information. E, misrepresent or knowingly mislead a member of staff of the Office of the Auditor General or professional acting
bullets to the challenges of land grabbing that we are facing in Nakuru, and has it affected your development programs and implementation like ECD centers, like hospitals, like maybe, I know Nakuru you have fish markets you need to develop, and in relation to affordable housing programs and also the markets that we are doing in concurrence with the national government, an issue of industrial parks. If you can just give us an overview, then, and is there any policy or legislative intervention that you need Parliament to do to address the issue of land grabbing? Because in Nandi we are having similar problem, Nairobi we are having similar problem. Of course, cost is also a huge problem. You and me come from Rift Valley, and issue of land is so emotive that when issue of lands come up, somebody rather dies chair than leaving even an inch of land. And it's lucky we come from Rift Valley, but there are no mountains in Rift Valley. It's only the Rift Valley. Thank you, Chair.
You are taking us into very dangerous geographical terrains. I think you are to do your closing.
We were in DEFCON, and we saw a lot of hills in your place also.
Yes.
Kuna milima mingi.
There are many mountains that
Yeah.
should not be touched.
Yeah, okay.
You are to do your closing remarks.
Okay,
but,
so maybe just conclude as she
yeah, so
answers
that
on
then maybe when she's doing her closing remarks,
you
she can
can,
respond
yes.
to what you've said.
And maybe, Governor, maybe I don't know whether I'm going ahead of my time. There was a small disturbance between Narok and your county. You can also assure the committee that on the issue of a few clashes that we saw for the last few days, are you collaborating with the national security so that we don't see the escalation of those clashes that we saw in area? I know the chair of national security is whispering something. I know she's your close friend, but you can just asperse it. Because through the chair of national security and the chair of public accounts, there can be no development without peace. There will at least be peace. So finally, Governor, we wish you well. As a former senator, if you succeed, some of us will have a chances of being elected governors in future, before the second coming of Jesus Christ. Chair, we wish you well, travel safe, and I thank you and I yield.
Okay, Senator Adulo, we are on closing remarks, if any. If not, then fine. So, Governor, your remarks in closing. Even though before you make your remarks, I see a slight disconnect between your technical team and the Office of the Auditor General. So maybe, OAG, what is it that you expect the county to do? Because some of the conversations we're having here could be avoided if there was better synergy.
Thank you, Chair. I think we had a discussion with the team even late yesterday evening, and we agreed that once we get a certificate, the issues are raised, they just walk into our office. We have a discussion so that we explain precisely what did we mean by this, because sometimes the auditor raises something, they say we provided. So we'll tell them exactly what we provide, and I think going forward we are going to collaborate. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, so your officers need to do the right thing so that when you come here, Governor, you're not talking about some public toilet that was supposed to be built in a market. There are so many emerging policy issues that I think you'd feel better utilized, even us would feel better utilized to have those conversations with you. E-procurement, UHC workers. I mean, there are so many things that we've not been able to discuss because you're trying to trace 330 million between the cash book and financial statements. So your officers must do the right thing, must talk to the Office of the Auditor General to ensure we have a different conversation. But let be on record with your closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. It's been a great morning into afternoon talking about those issues, and I think it's a learning curve for everybody, be it the staff from the Nakuru executive, and also, as you have pointed out, perhaps better collaboration with the Office of the Auditor General, but we'll do that together going forward. Yes, there are definitely some issues that are historic, which keep reoccurring, and perhaps sometimes as a county, we are not able to provide documentation because it was many decades before our time. However, that's no excuse. The office, we occupy office, we take responsibility. So whatever it is that we need to do, we shall do on our end. And very gently answering that question of Senator Cherarkei, land grabbing really is a big problem in the county of Nakuru. I'm sure I'm in many other areas, but most, I don't know why Nakuru. And sometimes it's really a headache because you want to do development, you want to do it quickly, but you are held back because of the nature of things due to this land grabbing. Sometimes I get a bit frustrated by my fellow Kenyans because I believe that if it's public land, even we ourselves as Kenyans should not be letting people occupy that which could help us when we put up hospitals, when we put up markets, when we put up ECDs and that sort of stuff. I mean, the same thing you see, you put up some street lights and you see people climbing up there and removing those bulbs. What are the rest of the Kenyans doing when you see somebody take out a transformer that helps your area with electricity? Why do we allow that? So I also sometimes feel a bit frustrated because I feel as a people, we also should be a bit more on the lookout for these things. But as a governor, what I have done in terms of land grabbing, I've been quite bold. In fact, I've had a lot of issues because what I have done is decided that whatever you have grabbed and belongs to the county goes back to the county. And in repossessing it, then comes the court cases, which then we have to fight. And in doing so, by the way, we've gotten quite a few parcels of land reverted back to the county government, either through the courts and generally, by the way, in conjunction. We do this in conjunction with the ESCC. So for that, I'm also grateful, and DCI and other national government bodies. We have had some very unfortunate events in the last beginning Friday and Saturday, where we saw some clashes between the Nakuru and Narok borders, where we call Mwisho wa Lami, or in Mount Narok. And we have worked very closely through the nights, through some of those nights with the national security team and the county security team. We have been able to restore order, and part of that included even having curfews so that this does not continue to happen. So as of right now, we have restored order, but it's still volatile quite a bit. And back to why you hear us saying, which has also been reported by Senator Cherarkei, we guard peace seriously because we can have no development if we don't have peace, and it's not even worth it not having peace. So thank you, Chair, thank you, your committee, thank you, Secretariat and everything, and my team from Nakuru County Government, and we shall continue to make sure that we do better. Even by the next time we see you around, we'll do much more better, because we want to make sure that county or public money is used properly and that we are a transparent county government. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
Well, in closing, I will reiterate what I've said before, that if your technical teams could do the right thing, we would not have, this is like a ream of paper in the form of a financial statement and audit report. Perhaps it's the thickest we have seen across the 47 counties. So please, there's no glamour in having the thickest audit report or financial statements. Because if they did the right thing, we would be asking you about the impact of UHC workers on your bottom line, and whether, if you are to discuss rationally, whether it is the right move that the government has made. Leave the politics aside. Leave our partisan positions aside. Is it financially reasonable to transfer the UHC workers to the counties without funds following the workers? And unfortunately, we've not had that opportunity. Counties are complaining that nothing is happening because of e-procurement. The PFM Act gives the Treasury power to define and prescribe a system for efficient management of financial affairs in county governments. Does that provision extend to e-procurement or to county revenue systems? That is a conversation we should be having at the Senate. We would have talked about the housing program, which I think Nakuru is a beneficiary. We would have talked about markets. We would have talked about financing for cities. And Governor, you recall, I was a chair of the Devolution Committee when the proposal for Nakuru to be a city came. And we scratched our heads on whether Nakuru was ready. And looking at your receipt of revenue statement, even though I have no regrets for being the chair who brought the report to the House, I'm a bit worried for Nakuru as a city. In your revenue statement, you used to collect about 3 billion or 3.3 billion, but that included 1.5 billion as hospital fees. If you take away the hospital fees, which will now be ring-fenced as FIF, you are left with about 1.8 billion. And part of the criteria was to check whether the municipality had the capacity to collect own revenue that could sustain its services. Are you able to deliver services to Nakuru City with 1.8 billion? Definitely not. And remember, this is 1.8 billion collected from all corners of Nakuru, not just the city. So let's ensure that we reduce the bureaucratic and clerical issues that come to the Senate so that we can have that conversation. But in conclusion, please go back and have a conversation with the CEC, have a conversation with, I think there's something called a PFM technical working. There's something, the PFM, where the CEC finance chairs, a public finance management technical working group or something within the county. You have serious inadequacies when it comes to HR because you don't have a county public service board. You have serious inadequacies in financial management because you don't have a chief officer of finance and you don't have a qualified accountant heading your treasury. You don't have an audit committee. You don't have an approved internal audit charter, and that renders your internal auditors ineffective. You have gaps in legal, and you have just demonstrated that your county attorney should have been here, and I don't know why they are not here, and yet legal issues were part of what we are dealing with. So please go back and fix some of those things. If you fix them, your work will be lighter. And so we'll be able to have a better conversation at the Senate. We will adjourn the meeting, and I think when we retreat to write a report or to consider the responses, we will give directions on whether there is need for another appearance or whether we can rely on the written responses or whether the Assembly can deal with whatever is remaining. The meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene on notice.